Hello everybody, welcome to the channel and welcome to my first video. I'm going to be bringing you some footage today from Croft Circuit where I took part in my first Cat 4 race. Thank you for coming along in my journey really. Hopefully it's entertaining for you. I should probably manage expectations at this early stage. It's certainly not going to be NorCal racing or anything like that. I'm a very average local club cyclist and that's partly the reason why I wanted to do this video with you. I do enjoy watching videos from all sorts of different content creators on YouTube, majority of which are really good cyclists and high quality cyclists. I guess from my point of view it was to kind of prove that anybody from a local club with a decent level of fitness can get involved in these races and enjoy them as well. So hopefully I do, and we'll see how we get on today. Just to put my figures into perspective as we go through the race, because you'll be able to see my power overlay. I am a fairly decent size at just shy of 100 kilos and 6'6", so please bear that in mind when you look at the power. It may look pretty decent, but it certainly doesn't go very far at my weight and build. I chose Croft for my first race for a number of reasons, one of which is that it's fairly local to me. It's also renowned for being a nice safe series. It's a nice wide track with no technical sections. The event is part of the Velo29 winter series. It's a really well organised event. It's also really well attended considering the time of year that it's run. I'd recommend it to anybody that's looking to get into racing. For me, it's just the perfect first event to take part in. I really do hope you enjoy the video. I've got quite a few more planned. I'm doing a few more races throughout this winter spell. I've also got quite a few more videos that I'm wanting to bring you. I'm fortunate enough to live in Yorkshire and we've got some fantastic climbs around here, so I was going to do some climb videos when the weather's a bit better. So if you do like the video, please like and subscribe, and obviously if I'm getting the support it'll push me on to do some more videos and to bring you some more content. Cyclists. Right, so I've just arrived. I'm currently hiding in the car away from the elements, as you probably saw from the footage there. When I left home it was glorious sunshine, we even got a rainbow on the way there, but by the time I've arrived it's wet to say the least. So it's currently about 3 degrees still, so not too bad really. It's supposed to warm up a little bit in the next half an hour, an hour. I'm going to go sign in a minute, get my number and get set up, get the bike set up and do a few warm-up laps. So I will catch up with you soon. Right, let's get stuck straight into some race footage. As with most of these races, a pretty brutal start. Managed to get clipped straight in though. Quite a few actually getting gapped and distanced even in that first few 100 metres, but a decent start. I think the less said about this first corner the better. Scrubbed off way too much speed going in, which led me having to put in a big power effort out of the bend. I wasn't on my own, there's quite a few that did the same, but obviously the last thing you need at the start of the first lap. Heart rate monitor was taking a little while to catch up. Certainly 100 beats isn't right, but you'll see shortly it does shoot up to a more realistic figure. I think we're straight up to about 170 in these early stages. I don't think I was the only one struggling with the early pace. I exchanged a few words with the rider next to me and I think he pretty much summed it up. But as I've said, things quickly settled down.
Warm up done. Yeah, it's like being on Zwift, that.
Right, so we're coming to the end of the first lap. I'd decided early on to sit at the back of the pack, ride some wheels, and to be honest with you, stay out of any trouble, especially with the wet conditions and wet course. It seemed like the safest option. Much better on this corner the second time round, but even hitting it smoother and at higher speed, I still had to hit about 900 watts on the exit, so tough once again, but much better. This second lap was much faster. I think there was a couple off the front trying to make a breakaway and exchanging blows. So whilst it initially seemed like a great idea to sit back in the pack and ride some wheels, the concertina effect was in full flow at times. I was getting buffered around at the back and at times it was proving difficult to hold the wheels. As I came towards this bend, I noticed the guy in front of me was dropping off the wheels, so I did put in an effort to catch up with the group. I didn't want to take any chances at this early stage. I'd seen what happened the week before with people getting dropped even with the smallest of gaps. I didn't need to in the end as the group came back together. The pace eased off quite quickly, and to be honest with you, the pace was very up and down all day. As you can see here, I'm doing 27, then within a few seconds there's a few touching brakes and we're back down to 23, 22 miles an hour. As we come down the back straight, it starts to get really strung out again. As you probably notice as we go around the bend, there's one or two trying to get off the front. All settles down pretty quickly though, but as we come to the end of the second lap, you'll see there's a few having to dig deep just to stay in touch. Again, I shut down this gap straight away. I think we'd already lost about 6 or 7 from the original 32 that started. And the last thing I wanted to do was get stuck behind somebody that was fading, so I got back up into the pack straight away. Again, this section was tough, having to put out some decent power just to stay in the pack. I did stick my head out at one point just to see if I could pass some riders. I quite quickly realised that wasn't going to happen, so I just took back in behind this rider in front just to get some draft. We picked the action back up on the 5th lap. It's been really stop and start as it had been in the early stages of the race. The pace changing constantly. As you can see here, we're doing 26 miles an hour and then within seconds we're back down to 19. So it felt like more of an interval session than a race at some stages. It was really tough going, to be honest with you. The break in the pace certainly didn't last long. As you can see here, the pack's come strung out again as we're touching 30 miles an hour down the back straight. We hit some traffic as we came to the end of the 5th lap. Shout out to number 46 here for acknowledging the female riders were coming up on the left hand side as we lapped them. To be honest with you, it was difficult at times with the spray and the conditions to see that far ahead of you, so good on him for acknowledging that. Sadly, I think I was concentrating too much on passing them safely than I was on actually keeping up the group in front, and got dropped off the back there a little bit, so I had to put in a little surge just to get back on. As we approached these two left-hand bends, I noticed the guy in front of me was dropping the wheel. I thought he may well get back on. He seemed like a pretty strong rider, so I just sat in his wheel as long as I possibly could. But then his shoulders dropped and I quickly realised he wasn't getting back on, so I had to put in a bit of a surge here just to get back with the pack, and sadly that was his day done. A few seconds later and I'm back with the pack. Things did slow down through this bottom section once again. It looks a great place to pick up some wheels or even launch an attack, which does actually happen later in the race. I guess it will come with confidence, and as I get more confident, hopefully I can utilise it to my benefit. The pace seemed to settle down as we came to the end of the 6th lap. I think quite a few people had tried to make breaks off the front throughout the day, but with the conditions and weather I think they'd realised by this point it probably wasn't going to happen today. Heart rate under 170, so quite happy where I was at this stage. Pace soon picked back up as we came down this bottom section, probably the fastest we'd done this section all day. As you can see, when we approached this bend at the bottom, we even hit that at sort of 27, 28 miles an hour. It's becoming pretty spread out here. As you can see, when we go around the bend, there's quite a gap between the first riders and me at the back here, so becoming stretched out and just trying at this stage just to hold the wheel in front. As we came into the home straight for the second last time, the pace certainly hadn't eased off. They're becoming stretched again, and to be honest with you, I was all out just trying to hold this pack at this stage. It was damage limitation and just trying to get through this last lap in touch. It was much the same for this last lap. Really hard work holding the wheels. As you can see here, heart rate is rising up around the sort of 180 mark. Just as I thought it was going to ease off down this top section, we then kicked again off the bend. A really hard effort again, heart rate shooting up, just trying to hold on at this stage. Paul from Manila launched a really well timed attack on the right hand side here. This is actually in the section I mentioned to you earlier. I tried to go with them but quite quickly realised I didn't have the legs. I managed to pass a few wheels but then got carried really wide into this bottom corner, meaning that I had to put in a big effort coming out the corner just to catch back on. That brake was soon brought back. I was just trying to ride some wheels at this point, try and get a little bit of a breather before the inevitable sprint, heart rate into the 180s, which is never a good sign. Right, so we're into the last couple of bends now, getting ready for the sprint. As I actually came into the main straight, I did get spooked because the rider in front of me grabbed some brake, but thankfully I didn't lose too much momentum. Managed to get out a rather measly 900 and something watts into the straight, but to be honest with you, after the race I'd had, I was actually quite happy with that. I also managed to dodge this female rider that appeared to come out of nowhere, so I was actually just quite happy to make it across the line in one piece in the end. So there we go, that's my first race complete. Over the moon with that result, finished in 15th place out of 32 starters. So really chuffed with that. I'm entered into a few more of these races over the coming weeks, so I'll be sure to bring you some more content. As I said earlier in the video, if you do like it, please like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. So until next time, cycle safe and I will catch you soon.